Hello friends, welcome to Coding Techniques again. Today I am going to teach you how to work with a GPS plugin and enable the GPS directly, and if you have not allowed the permission, like if you have denied the permission, then how to go to the settings directly and work with that, whether it is location settings or directly the application permission settings. Okay, so if you're watching this channel regularly, then you must be knowing that I have already made a similar video earlier on, but there I have used some Cordova plugins too along with the Capacitor one. But in this case, I'm just going to use one Cordova plugin along with all the other Capacitor plugins, and this is more efficient way of doing the stuff. So that is what I'm going to show you in this particular video. So let's get started. So now I have created a new project which I have named it as Geolocation Enable GPS. Now before starting off, I would like to tell you that I have already created a video on this enabling GPS for the geolocation plugin, and I have used that in my Uber Eats application series episode 9, which you can just see here in the GitHub link, that enable mobile GPS using location accuracy. Well, we are going to use the location accuracy plugin once again, but we are going to do it in a more efficient way. So I'm going to show you right now how exactly I'm going to achieve that. So in the home page, what am I going to do? Let me just clear all these things from the Ion content, not even this particular stuff. And let me name it as geolocation, enable geolocation, or enable GPS, whatever you like to say that. Okay, I think it is geolocation. Now it's fine. So in the Ion content, I'm just going to have a simple button here. So Ion button, expand to be block, and I'll name it as enable geolocation. Okay, now on click of this particular one, we are going to do certain activity, or let me just name it as current location. Fetch current location, fetch current location, current location. Okay, and the function name get current location. Let me just have it here. All right, now the error is gone. In order to work with this particular one, I need to install the Capacitor plugin for the geolocation at first. So let me just copy it. I'll get back and paste it here. Then we need to sync that, but I will not run the sync right now because for that we need the Android and iOS devices to be added. Now I'll run the command Ionic build to have our www folder created, which you will just see right now. There you go. This is a www folder which is just created. Now I'm going to add, okay, before adding, let me just change the package name here. Otherwise, I have to change it later on. So com.coding techniques, any name I'm just passing. This is the domain name. Then let me pass GPS, any name, I'm just passing it up here. Okay. Now I'll be able to create that easily. Ionic cap, add iOS. All right, the platform is added. Then I'm going to add it for Android also in this way. Now both of them are added. Okay. Once that is done, I need to pass the permission for the iOS and Android one. Let's do that one by one. Let me copy this particular one for the Android in the variables.scss. So I'm just hitting the command plus P for Mac and control plus P for Windows. That's how you can open this particular one. And I'll go to variables.scss, not scss, variables.gradle actually, where I will pass this particular version, which was the version 21.0.1. Let me copy it and I'm going to paste it here. After that, I'll go to manifest file, within which what I need to do, I need to pass this permissions for the GPS one. Let me paste it after the internet one in this way. And we are done for the Android one. No more permission needed, right? For the iOS one, we need to pass this permissions. So I'll search for info.plist file, and in this particular one at the very top here, I'm going to just paste it. So the names, these two particular names are coming from here. Okay. And this string, I'm just passing it a user defined one. So you can just pass anything you want here, which will show up in the front end to the user when the permission is being asked. Okay. So that is how I have done for these two permissions. So this is done for the Capacitor one, and now you can simply run npx capsync or Ionic capsync. Let me run npx capsync, both are same. So the syncing is done. Well, we haven't made any changes yet, so syncing was not required, but still I have done that. Anyways, now what I need to do, I need to work around with this functionality, isn't it? So in the TS file, let me do everything within try catch block. If there is any error, then we can catch that particular error here. Okay, let me make it a sync. Now at first I'm going to check for the permissions here for the geolocation one, for which I'm going to use geolocation, and I need to import that. So this is how I've imported it. Okay, now this check permissions function I have used here to get the permission status. Now if the permission status dot location, you can pass location or course location. If I just remove it, dot course location or location, you get two things. I'm just looking for location here. You can in fact check for course location also. Now after this, I'm going to simply check if the permission status of this location is not granted, because you can have granted, denied or undefined also, I think. So if it is not granted, that means there is something which is not right. The permission is not provided because of some conditions. So we are going to request for permission here, for which I'll create another constant called request status, which will be equals to await geolocation dot request permissions function I'm going to use here. If you hover on it, it will say that request location permissions will throw if system location services are disabled. So you're getting it right. If the permission is switched off, if the location services are disabled, then it's going to throw an error. So how I'm going to check that? Well, I will check another condition here, that if request status dot location again not equals to granted, that means the permission is not granted, and after requesting also it is not granted, then what am I going to do? I will go to location settings. All right, that's what I'm going to do, which we will tackle it later on, and we will simply return null here. Okay, after tackling it up. Now if the location permission is given, okay, then what we need to do, we need to simply work with our get current position function in the geolocation, where I will pass this particular options. If you want high accuracy, then you can simply pass it to true here. If you don't want high accuracy, which will take little bit of more time than the usual one to give you the proper accuracy or the actual location of yours, that is why turning to true will take little bit of time, but will give you proper location. That's what it means. Maximum age is 3 seconds and the timeout is 10 seconds. Okay, so after 10 seconds, if there is no response, it will simply throw an error. And in the catch one, I'll simply throw the error if there is any, or in fact we will log the error here, console.log e. Okay, and in fact I'll just throw it because we need to return something at the very end, otherwise this will not work properly, as there was some warning here. As we are returning something here, definitely we need to return something here too. But if I don't want that, I need to remove this return and create a constant called position, that's gonna be equals to this particular one, and I will log the value of the position that I'm going to get here. All right, now still there is an error, which is because of this return that I have here. So if I just pass return now, it is okay. I'm not passing return null here. Now the error is gone. That's great. So this is ready now, isn't it? In fact, you can just break down the code in different functions, that is as per your requirement. Now let's try to run this particular stuff in our Android and iOS. So Ionic cap run iOS -l -external. Let's hit that, and I'm going to select a simulator from here. Let's go for 14 Pro. I should have opened the Xcode earlier. I don't think it's going to open up directly. Let's wait for it. Well, I think it's not opening up, so let me just stop this and run Ionic cap open iOS, which will open up the Xcode. There you go. So now it has opened up and everything is good to go, I think. Let's check it out. I need to go to signing and capabilities, select a team. If you don't have one, create one. It's free of cost because this is a personal team. Okay, now we can just walk around with this particular one. But what am I going to do? I'm going to run the same command again in my Visual Studio Code. This is the one. Let's run this up. Again, I'm going to select iPhone 14 Pro, and this time the simulator has opened up, which you can just see here. So I think we should center this particular button here. That's gonna be fine. It is totally at the top, which I don't want. So how about removing this particular block here? Okay, it's gonna be shortened up, and wrap this particular stuff within a div here. in this particular manner, where I'm going to align it to center. Okay, so it is horizontally centered now. To make it vertically centered, okay, this SCSS I'll remove it, and so in the SCSS I'm going to work with the div and transform it in Y direction, translate Y, and let me pass, I think 40% from the top. Well, not exactly. How about 50%? But that's quite less actually. What about 80%? Well, that's not working. So 50 VH I think will be fine. That's too much. How about 30 VH? I think it's okay. So we can stick to 30 VH, or you can reduce it a little bit more to 20 VH. That's gonna be better. 25 will be better. So at least it is at the center point or somewhere. Not exactly the center. I don't want it exactly towards the center, but it's fine. So this is done. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to open up another thing here, and we'll open up Ionic app, open Android this time. So it's going to open the Android Studio here, where I have the latest version of everything. You can in fact upgrade the Gradle for this particular project if you want to by hitting this particular button. So let me select the device here, this particular device, and run the project. Alright, so it has opened up. I'll get this device outside of this particular one, minimize it up, minimize this particular one, in fact the Xcode also. I just want to show these two devices in this particular manner. Okay, so both devices are ready. Now let me just align everything properly here. Okay, so it's time to try this up. Now if I hit the current location, well, this thing is not working here because I need to run live reload as I have not synced the project. So after opening it up, what I'll do here, Ionic app run Android -L external. If this external doesn't work for Android one, I have made a separate video on that. You can simply check that out, how to fix the errors if you're facing any. I'm going to select this particular device, hit enter. Alright, the changes will reflect here too. So whatever you do now will reflect here properly. Along with that, I want to do one more stuff here in order to check whether everything is working properly or not. So for the iOS one, I'm going to use Safari here. And in the Safari, I will go to develop, and this is a simulator. This is what it is coming up when you're running live reload. So this is where you will see all the stuff. Let me minimize this particular one because this is the stuff which I need to look into. And for Android one, I will just look for Chrome inspect. Okay, this is done. So these two are the stuff which I need to check it out when I click on this particular one. In fact, let me just align it in this way. Okay, so one by one we are going to check. Let's check for the Android one at first. If I click on this current location, I'm getting the option to select the location. Let me hit only this time, and if I hit that, what am I getting? Well, I'm getting the coordinates along with the timestamp in the position one. If you just click here, you will see where exactly it is coming from. It is coming from this particular one. So what I get, accuracy, altitude, and all of the stuff that you can work with. This is the latitude and longitude that you're getting. All right. So this is the emulator and simulator. So it has a particular latitude and longitude. In real device, you will see the actual latitude and longitude. But still this is working. Now, if I check for the iOS one, let's check it out. What do we get there? So I'll just check for this particular one now. If I hit this, you will see that we are able to prompt the location, allow while using allow once. So I have allowed it only once, and I'm getting the coordinates here, which you can just see, right? So coordinates is coming up, which is great. So we are able to work with the geolocation plugin now. But what if I click on it again? If I click on it again, or what should I do? Should I close it? So I'm just opening the application again. Okay. Now I need to open the Safari once again. Let's go here and run this up. So if I click on the current location here and hit on don't allow, now what will happen? I have hit on don't allow, so it's not going to allow me to go ahead, and it is hitting the return function. So after request permission, there is nothing that is coming up. Now if I hit on this particular one again, it is showing here that the permission is denied and it is not able to request the permission, because in request permission also nothing is showing up, right? The course location is denied and the location is also denied for the request permission. So nowhere you are able to access the location here. Now we need to do something, right? We need to go to the settings here in order to work with that. Let's check the Android one also, what happens there. So I'm going to close it and I've opened up again. I need to close this particular one, get it from here once again in this particular way. All right, ready now. If I hit on it, I'll get the location. If I hit on don't allow, you see that the prompt is showing up, and here what do I have? An object prompt with rational, and if I click on it again, okay, don't allow. Once again, if I hit on don't allow, again if I click on it, this time it is showing denied. So after checking it twice, you get a denied permission. So it is the same stuff that you're getting in both the cases, right? So if you're able to request the permission and it's fine, otherwise you will get a denied one. So how do we fix this problem? How do we go to the settings automatically and fix that up? That's what I'm going to show you here, for which we need to install a certain plugin. And that plugin is going to be Capacitor Native Settings. This is the plugin that we need to install. Simply search this particular name on the internet and you will get it. So I've copied it and I need to install it here. So let me just install it in this way, hit enter. This is installed now. Once the installation is done, how do we use that? This is the stuff that is shown up here that we can use simply. So in order to use this, let me do one thing. I'll create another function here. Let me call it open settings, and I've given an argument which I've named it as app, that is turned to false, and I'm going to tell you why I'm using that. Don't need to worry. In some time you will understand why exactly I've done that. Now here I need to use native settings.open because I want for Android and iOS in one go. So let me just do it. Return native settings.open function, because I will be using this particular functionality in our get geolocation function, okay, directly there. That is why I'm doing so. And I need to import it from Capacitor Native Settings. It is imported now, which you can just see here. So within this particular one, what exactly I need to do, let's check it out. So this is the stuff which is shown here. So let's copy and simply paste it here. All right. And now align it properly, and you need to import this two stuff. Imported, this one also now imported. So after importing, this looks in this particular manner and it is up and working. So now what does it mean actually? That whenever we try to use this particular functionality, it is going to open the application details. In Android and in the iOS one, it will open up the app settings. So in the settings one, it is going to open up the application settings for you. That is what it means. All right. But always you don't want to do that. Sometimes if your location services are disabled, you want to open that particular one. That's where this particular one comes into play, because I'm going to check a condition here that if this app is true, then only I'm going to open the application details. Otherwise, okay, otherwise there is another option, Android settings dot location. This is the one which will be used for show settings to allow configuration of current location sources. So it is going to open the settings for location one. That is what it means. Now again, I'm going to do the same here also. If the app is true, that means it will open up the application settings. Otherwise, we are going to work with iOS settings dot location services, which you can see suggestion is coming up. This is what you need to use here, because in iOS, the location services will be called. In both cases, these are different, and you will find this particular stuff. If you just scroll down, these are the places where you can find all these things. Okay, so location, this is the one, location. This is for the Android one, and for the iOS one, where is it? This is the iOS settings, where you will find location services. So you can just work with other stuff also if you want to here. Now, these two things are done and the functionality is ready. So by default, I have set this particular one to be false. That means it will enter the location services, which will be required when there is a exceptional error. So if there is any exceptional error and there is a message, say like I have a message that the location services are not enabled, only in that case I'm going to call this particular function this dot open settings, and I'm going to call the location services here. What's wrong here? Let me give it of type any. Now the error will go away. Fine. And I'm going to pass await here. all right, because this is going to return a promise, which you can just see here, and the status will be Boolean. So this is how we can work around with this particular stuff. Now, if the permission is denied, which will be possible only if there is location service which is enabled, but for your application the permission is denied. In that case, you need to call the application settings, for which I will simply call this function and set the value to be true for the application one. Okay, if I do that, then this is sorted, because if there is any exception, then I will call the location settings, otherwise the application settings will be called. These two things I will do it here, but there will be another thing which we need to tackle. So let me just tell you that before moving ahead with this, or before trying this up. In Android, there is another possibility that the GPS is disabled. In order to enable that, either you can go to the settings, right? Or you can do one more thing. You can call the location accuracy one. Okay, this is the one. Or let's try without this. Let's try this at first. I think then it's gonna be fine. So let me try for Android at first. I'll open it up and click on this particular button here. It is saying that the native plugin is not implemented on Android. Well, in order to work with that, I think I need to stop the live reload and run it again. So I'll just do that. Let me at first sync the project, Ionic Cap sync. Alright, syncing is done. Now let me run for iOS once again. And for Android one, I'll do the same once again. Now for iOS one, let me just select a device. Where is it? There we go. I'll select iPhone 14 Pro. This is the one. And for Android one, let me just select which particular one. This is the one. I'm going to select it up. Alright, both of them are getting refreshed here. That's great. Now let me just go for this particular one, inspect, and click on this inspect here. Minimize it up. Now if I click on this location, you see there is no error here for the native capacitor native settings, and I'm getting redirected to the application settings here, where you can simply go for the permission stuff. And in this particular one, if I go to the settings now for the permission, there is the location one which is not allowed. So if I just click on it and go for arcs every time and hit the back button now. Okay, let's see what happens. If I click on it, it is asking me for the same permission once again. Now if I hit only this time, then I think I'll get the stuff which I need. This is the one. I'm getting the coordinates once again. So this is working, right? And I in fact want to check for one more thing. Let's see, how do I check it in Android emulator here? I need to disable the location settings, for which I need to go to the settings here. So this is the settings. Where do I find the location one? Location, use location. I'll just turn it off. If I turn it off and I'll just close this settings here, all right, and I'll open the function. I'll open up our application once again. This time if I click on it, you see I'm getting back to the location services or location settings, not the application settings, because it is throwing an error here, which you can just see here. Check permission, which is saying location services are not enabled, and we have checked for this particular stuff in this particular one, which you can just see here. This is the one which we are checking, exactly the same. So I hope you have understood this particular stuff. If I just enable it and hit the back button, click on it, this time I think we will get the particular stuff. You can see the coordinates are coming up. It is taking a little bit of time because of the accuracy, enable accuracy to be true. That is why. So this is working, right? Similarly, let's check it for the iOS one. So I'll just open it up and go for simulator. Check this out. Now, if I hit on current location, since the settings, in the settings we have given, it is not redirecting to the application settings here actually, where it should be, because the application is not showing up here. But in real device, definitely it's going to show. I have tested it. Well, I think if we are working with live reload, it is not showing up. So let me just close this particular stuff, go to the Xcode one and build this from here. Now let's check it out what happens. Alright, if I click here, no, it is unable to take me to the particular application. Since it is not showing here, let me just do one thing. I will connect my real device and stop this for iOS 1. Okay, run it again and select my iPhone. Now it will open the application directly in my iPhone. Now one more thing I want to tell you, that for the Android one also, if you don't want to enable the GPS directly, if you just disable it from here, I think we have an option to disable it. Well, I don't see here, but in real device definitely there is a permission which you can simply disable it. So if you just do that, then you can use this particular functionality. But even without using this particular functionality also, you can simply work with the settings one. Alright, it will redirect you to the settings if the GPS is disabled. Alright, but still if you want the functionality, then simply enable this up and have a function here for the enabling of the GPS, where you need to install the location accuracy from the Cordova plugin one for the capacitor. Remember that. So if you do that up, then you will be able to request for the permission directly, okay, using this particular stuff. Now the application is opened up in my real device. Let's check it out there. Now if I click on this particular location settings, it is redirecting me to the location services. Alright, and if I enable this up, because the location services was disabled, that is why it is doing so. And if I just get back to the application once again and click on this particular one, you can see the permission is coming up. If I hit don't allow, then it is not opening the application here also, because it is not showing up in the list. So I think you need to sign it up in order to show you in this particular list, because it comes. Obviously I have tested it. It shows up. As you can see in this particular list, this application is not showing up. So it is difficult to enable it, for which I'll directly go to the privacy and security. And you can see here in this location service, this application is showing up. Alright, so you have to go to this particular settings here in order to enable that. So if I go for ask next time when I share and I get back and click on this particular one, it is showing me the permission once again. If I allow once, I'll get the location. So this is how you can work around with this particular stuff. I hope you understood. So the application is working nicely for both that stuff. Let me enable this particular one also. If you want to enable GPS directly, alright, if you want to use this location accuracy also, you can definitely do that. Now capacitor is used because I need only for the Android one, not for the iOS one. So for doing so, I'll go to the Ionic framework documentation and we'll go to the native one. Look for version 5 because we have the Cordova plugins here in the version 5, and I'm going to go for location accuracy. This is the one. Simply install it for capacitor in this particular way. Copy, and in the last one, install it in this particular manner. Then the next command is this particular one. Copy and paste it. Finally, you need to sync the project and you are good to go. So before syncing, what I'll do, I'll go to the main.ts file because we are working with the standalone project. If you're working with the ng module, then you need to simply go to the app.module.ts file, and there in the providers one, you need to pass location accuracy plugin in this way /ngx. Okay, because in the imports, I think this is being given. Alright, so this is the only stuff you need to do in order to work with this particular one, and you need to inject in the home page in the constructor this particular stuff and import it in this particular manner. Okay, I have passed it somewhere else. It needs to be passed within the brackets. Now all the errors are gone and you're good to go. Now you can simply sync the project and work around with it. What's wrong in the main.ts file? Okay, I have not given a comma. That's why the error was coming up. Now once again, I'm going to sync the project, and this time syncing is almost complete. There you go. It is completed. Once the syncing is completed, I'll get an error here. So let me just run for the Android one because we have made the changes only in the Android one and nowhere else, right? So I'll just check the Android one and that will be it from our end. I need to select the device here, select it, and we need to wait for it to run. Well, now actually what I have done, I have synced the project once again and I'm running this time from Android Studio. Well, if I just do that up, then I'm able to see this particular one. Alright, so I don't know what's the error with directly using it. Let's try it once again. So Ionic cap run android-l -s external. If I run this up and select the device, let's see whether it works this time or not. So maybe there was some syncing issues which I think might be occurring, but now I think it is sorted mostly. Not exactly. So while running live reload, I'm not getting the stuff here. But if I run it directly from the Android Studio, this will work. So this is one of the things which you need to take care of. Let me just dock it here. Well, this time it is okay. I need to stop that actually in this particular one. Otherwise, the live reload one will only work if I go for it and run this up again. Let's see what happens. This time it is showing up. So you can just simply check how exactly this is differing. Only this time, and there is no option to and disable the GPS. So if you are using location permission, live reload might not work, but at least the application is working, which you can just see here. Okay, so if I just click on it again, it's going to work, and you will be able to redirect to the settings one. If you just close it, open it up again, click on it, and if you hit on don't allow, then it is going to redirect you to the settings page. Okay, where you can go for the location permission and allow it. If you do so, hit back once again. If you click on it, you will get the permission once again. So this is how it is working nicely for Android and iOS. I hope you have understood how exactly we have worked with this particular stuff. So this is it for this particular video, friends. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, and if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Many of you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, so I'm just eagerly waiting for you to subscribe and see the number growing. Along with that, if you haven't checked my courses yet, do check it out. Links are there in the description. Go and check it right now. So with this, I'm going to wrap up this video here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to see you next time.